Smriti, thank you for joining me here on Inclusive Cyber. How's it going?
Everything is going great, Danny. Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited to have this conversation with you.
Yeah, I know we've been going back and forth because, life gets in the way, which is fine. But can you provide a quick background for the audience on where you've been so far in your career?
Yes. So, hi, everyone. Hi, all inclusive cyber listeners. My name is Smriti, and I am a biomedical engineer by background. And I've kind of taken a scenic route to cybersecurity. So, I've done a few different things. I started off in medical device testing and development, and then kind of worked my way through different teams and different roles into the cybersecurity field. So it has not been a very linear path to cybersecurity, but I think they're very interconnected in many ways. So biomedical engineering, device development, and cybersecurity all share a common theme, which is patient safety and people safety and security, which kind of is the common theme that I see in all of these three areas that I've worked in.
I appreciate your quick overview of your background, Smriti. I definitely agree. I think one thing that we're missing here in cyber is people are looking for the traditional background into cyber. And what I mean by that is going through school, computer science degree, kind of electrical engineering degree, and kind of going up the ranks. But I think with your background, a biomedic, engineer, and just the medical field as a whole, that's adding and enriching cybersecurity as a whole, because we need different ideas. And something that I've kind of pontificated on social media is that we need new ideas. And the only way we're going to get that is bringing in more people from other backgrounds and professions. So definitely resonates with me. So let's start off. What got you interested in your biomedical, engineering?
Yes, absolutely. So I've always wanted to add value to people's lives as part of my career. So I want to do something that has a tangible impact on people. And biomedical engineering and biomedical sciences was something that has always interested me. It's kind of that sweet spot between medical sciences and engineering, two areas that I'm very interested in. And I went to college for it, and I really liked the electronics and instrumentation side of things. And I also really liked kind of the patient side of things and the clinical side of things. So I felt like it gave me so many different areas to work with. It gave me kind of that understanding of systems, kind of doing systems thinking, understanding how different systems connect and interact. But at the same time, the usability, the security, and the reliability of devices being at the forefront of that product as well. So I am a person that likes kind of that diversity in the work that I do. I don't think I do very well just being stuck to doing the same thing every day. And biomedical science has kind of opened this world up to me where I could experiment with different areas. So even in my master's program, I noticed that there were my peers who were working on very math heavy areas of biomedical sciences where they were doing imaging and, all of those types of very math heavy areas. And there was this completely different group of like cell and tissue engineering. And there was that world going on all under the umbrella of biomedical sciences. So that's what got me into this field of biomedical engineering, and just has kept me interested so far.
So you mentioned a lot of great things, but I want to kind of pull the thread on one, because I'm reading a lot on this and kind of listening to podcasts, system thinking.
Yes.
So can you break down, because I'm still trying to learn myself on kind of system thinking, and then even the science as a whole, it's about experimentation. Right?
Absolutely.
Something that we don't do in cybersecurity. So if you can, I guess, talk about system theory and systems thinking, just to provide some additional context.
my experience with cybersecurity has been that that system thinking has kind of tied in one-on-one with my kind of my experience and my role in cybersecurity. Because cybersecurity is not just security engineers doing risk management work. It's a lot of different areas. The patient safety and security is at the forefront. The clinical side is at the forefront. You have to think about the regulatory side of things. You have to think about the business goals and how all of these efforts kind of tie into the business goals. So I think that interconnectedness of different areas and understanding the interconnectedness of those areas, not working in silos and having that kind of overall high level picture of what is it that I'm trying to do and how does this impact the various tentacles that is branching out and it's connected to is very important. That is something that you learn as part of engineering and you utilize as part of your biomedical degree or sciences or work that you do, but that
Right.
has also for me in my personal experience translated into my program management role in cybersecurity. Currently I'm a program manager in cybersecurity, and my role is very focused on how these different initiatives that I work on are tied to business objectives, right? They have to have business value. You cannot be just thinking about it in its own kind of vacuum. You need to understand how it affects your patients, what kind of risk does it have, but at the same time, what is the work that you're doing? How do you prioritize that in accordance to the business goals and objectives that you have? And some things just fall off because they may not make sense, right? So that understanding is very essential.
Well, thank you for that background, Smriti. Especially the other thing you just mentioned, business value. Again, in my experience within cybersecurity and all the different roles that I've had, we miss that, right? We're in that silo, our own bubble, talking technical with each other, but then we miss kind of that holistic picture and what is influencing cyber as a whole within the company and maybe even outside of the company. There's this book, and I'll mention it probably later in the show, that looks at it from a kind of a system theory and looking at it outside of cyber. So thank you for that perspective. So walk me through the steps. So you're in biomedical sciences. How did you navigate towards cybersecurity? Was it a class? Was it a colleague, a professor?
So when I was working in medical devices, I heard a few different stories and instances of medical devices being recalled because of cybersecurity, potential cybersecurity issues or vulnerabilities in those devices. They were mostly pumps, insulin pumps, and medical pumps that had cybersecurity issues where you could actually alter the amount of drug that was delivered to the patient through a cybersecurity kind of hacking the system and changing the settings of the device. That changed my entire perspective of cybersecurity, because until that point for me cybersecurity was data security, that perspective on cybersecurity. But when I understood the patient safety aspect of cybersecurity in medical devices, it completely changed my perspective into, cybersecurity being the other side of the coin of safety, right? So it's safety and security are the two sides of the coin.
Right.
They have to go hand in hand. I started reading more about it. I started, reading articles online and educating myself about medical device cybersecurity, and kind of understood how important it is to have cybersecurity as part of medical device development in the development phases itself. Then I started looking for job opportunities, and mentors have really kind of helped me, coach me, and understand the benefits of being in this field. So I did not have formal training in cybersecurity. I did not have any certifications earlier on, but I reached out to a few people who had experience in the field, who were able to provide very valuable insights and information about what would it be like working in a medical device cybersecurity role. And that is what really gave me the kind of the interest and the courage to apply and go forward with taking a role in cybersecurity, despite not having formal training in the area.
So I think you segued perfectly into my next question about mentors. So did you have people in your network? Was it employees that you reached out to? I guess just trying to understand, because the reason I'm trying to kind of pull the thread a little bit, I get a lot of responses on LinkedIn or emails to say, hey, how do I find a mentor in cybersecurity? And then I kind of, proceed with that. So if you can shed some light on exactly how that transpired.
Absolutely. So I think for everyone that's in trying to advance in their careers or is really invested in their careers, I think it's very important to be very thoughtful about how you approach your career and how you reach out to mentors. Mentors can be anybody. They can be people that you really respect, or they've done a project that you're really inspired by. They conduct themselves in a way that you really look up to. It could be anyone, or it could be through a professional organization. So earlier on in my career, when I was in college, I would be part of, Society of Women Engineers. There were a lot of different organizations like STEM organizations that were very useful to kind of be in a group of like-minded people and be mentored by individuals like professors who were kind of further ahead in their career and were able to provide valuable guidance. And in corporate environments, there are also structured mentoring programs a lot of times. So I would say being a part of those are also really great opportunities. I personally was a part of those. And the benefit of being in a corporate mentorship program is that you can, apart from developing your career and advancing your career, you also learn how to navigate that specific corporate environment, which is very useful. Right. For a lot of people, especially for me, because you really need to understand how that organization works and what is really required in that organization. But apart from those few examples that I provided, there are also many standalone organizations that offer mentorships. There's VICES is one that I've seen. Women in Cybersecurity is one. There are multiple organizations in cybersecurity that offer mentorship programs that have online presence and on LinkedIn as well. So I would look them up and sign up for those to have those opportunities to connect with mentors. I personally am not connected to any specific cybersecurity mentorship organizations. What I did was I reached out to people that I found on LinkedIn. I just reached out to them, connected with them, set up time with them. There are also career coaches who kind of help you with the transition into a different area like cybersecurity that can guide you. But for me, it was more reaching out to people that I respected or I thought were doing something cool and asking to set up some time and, just have a conversation with them.
No, Smriti, thank you for that great advice there. Definitely makes sense. Just at the end of the day, go local to these organizations and just ask, right? Just have that courage, because a lot of people, they might be introverts, they might not reach out to folks, but at the end of the day, if you don't say anything, then nobody's gonna hear what you need or want there. So great advice. So then you get all of this help from your mentors, kind of looking at devices, medical devices that can be hacked and stuff. So you said you started applying to, which one was your first one and what were you doing in that role?
So this is my first job. So in program management and cybersecurity. So I have been a program manager for a while now. I think for about 5-6 years now, I've been in program management. So that was actually helpful because I had the basics of program management kind of sorted. So I could take that expertise and bring it to a different field or a different area. So I think that might work for someone who's trying to get into cybersecurity. Is if you have a base skill that you can kind of bring into cybersecurity, you have that kind of footing in the ground of, okay, I know program management, I can deal with this. And then you have just one variable that you have to kind of pick up on and learn. So I think that is what I did. I knew that I can bring my program management skills and then I can learn the cybersecurity side of things. So this is my first role. Although what I absolutely did from the get-go was starting to learn. For cybersecurity, I think there's so much content out there. There's so much information. There's so many trainings, free trainings, courses, boot camps, you name it. You have like cybersecurity is a hot field right now. Like there's a bunch of stuff out there. So the content is really good. And a lot of times the content is really good and it's very intuitive. Like it's interesting, it's intuitive. And there's also like very gamified systems like Hack the Box that you can kind of play around with and get really up to speed with how to do, red teaming, kind of learn the concepts, learn the jargon, learn the language. So I did all of that because I was interested in the field and kind of that program management expertise gave me that kind of that solid foundation of I can do the program management side and now I can learn the cybersecurity side. But I also want to say this is where the mentors really come in, right? Because in my role, current role also, my manager, my mentor, they've all been extremely supportive and understanding of the fact that I did not come from a traditional cybersecurity area. So my manager really gave me the space to grow into the role from a technical standpoint, gave me the opportunities and the space to do that. And my mentor, who I kind of sought out and work with, she kind of gave me the background on the organization and kind of the support I needed from that standpoint. So I think that's a recipe that I think is very helpful for anyone to kind of be successful in a new role or area that they step in, is to reach out and find the right team to work with, the right manager to work with, and also go and find that mentor who will kind of make your journey a lot more easier for you.
Yeah, I love that, Smriti, especially just connectivity with people and then having that radical curiosity, right? Trying to learn. And again, a lot of people might not have good mentors, or maybe they might not have mentors or good bosses, and they might not have that opportunity. So that's great that at least the people that you're working for are open for you to learn and grow into your role. So as you were learning, did any of your mentors guide you towards certifications? Hey, you need to get all these certifications.
Yes.
And if they did, which ones did you ultimately go for?
So my mentor actually guided me. So I was doing a lot of different certification prep all together at once. And I have a toddler. So I was like all over the place. I was like doing my full-time job and doing being very confused. And then my mentor said, you know what, you should probably do like the program management, PMI, PMP cert, because you have the background for it. You've been working in program management, so why don't you just get it done? And she's like, I did it in I studied in like a week and I got the cert. Like she really made it sound very simple and gave me the confidence for it. And she's a really like cool, fun person. She's really technical, but also really fun as a person. So she kind of gave me like the spiel of, oh, it's going to be just 1 week and you'll be done. And I was like, okay, but I guess. So I went and I got that cert. And I have to tell you that even though I'd been in the industry doing program management for a while, going through that certification for program management has been extremely helpful. And similarly for cybersecurity, I'm currently working towards my CISM certification because I'm in program management. That is the one that I feel fits the bill the best with what I'm trying to do, because it really talks about your objectives in cybersecurity and the business objectives and tying them together and having that connection. But I think these certifications are designed to kind of help your mind think and frame things in that way. I don't think you absolutely need certifications to be successful in your job, but they do have their place and they do help you frame things in a way that makes sense in your organization. So I would say be mindful and thoughtful of the certifications that you pick, but have a goal. It kind of helps you continuously learn. I like that. That's what I like. I like having a goal. And then I like to get there and be like, okay, give myself a pat on the back and then do the next thing, right? It's like something to work towards, for sure.
Yeah, no, thank you for your perspective on that, Smriti, because a lot of people, that's the $1 million question, right? That either transitioning professionals or students coming out of school, which certification should I get? Or on the flip side, should I go to school? And for me, I think we probably share the same kind of philosophies when it comes to certifications. I never want to question the knowledge gained from any of the certifications, but whether or not you need, here's my prop, a piece of paper to tell you that you are good on X, Y, and Z. That's I guess subjective, right? But a lot of people in our industry, they look for those certifications. And if you don't have them, you unfortunately don't have that opportunity to even try to find, a job there. So it's kind of a balance that people must weigh. But the other thing too, you have to have that goal, because another thing that people do is, I want to get into cyber. And I'm like, okay, what part? It's just like, I want to be a doctor. Okay, well, what time for doctor, right?
Yeah.
So there's this depth and breadth, primarily breadth of different roles within cyber, that I would argue that there's some technical aspects, obviously, but then there's some non-technical aspects in cyber as well. And I like your advice about going through that program management route. I went through the boot camp. This was several years ago, but
Yeah.
I got lazy and never went for the certification there. So I have the knowledge somewhere in my mind.
It's a 4-hour exam. So it's like these exams are like 3-hour, 4-hour exams. And I'm like
Yeah.
waiting for it to end. So it is a task for sure, but it's kind of a nice anchor for you, and it gives
Mhm.
you something to work towards, which I think it's good, good for everyone to kind of have that goal in mind.
Yeah, definitely agree. So now being in the industry for roughly 5 or 6 years, what has surprised you about the industry?
About the cybersecurity industry,
Mhm.
it's the interconnectedness of the different groups that work in cybersecurity. Because prior to being in the cybersecurity role, I always thought cybersecurity was pen testers, security engineers, just a few people kind of working on figuring things out in their little group, right? But now that I'm in the cybersecurity world, I see how it affects everyone that's working on a device, and then the patients as well. That interconnectedness and that cross-functional structure is what has really been a standout, a standout thing for me for cybersecurity for sure. So it's from the development side of things, where you're trying to do secure development, hardware from a hardware side, from a software side, the clinical aspect, kind of all of those things tying in together for cybersecurity has been a big gotcha for me for sure.
Yeah, no, I love that response there, Smriti, because I think the interconnectedness, I think a lot of people in society don't really understand how much cyber plays into all our lives. Like for right now, we have utilities that are providing electricity so we can have this conversation here. But if that goes down,
Yeah,
then, it affects a lot of people. So, you know, I think overall, we don't really understand. I think to your point, and it could be something that we in the industry kind of push out that, oh, it's all about the pen testers. It's about the hackers, right? Wearing the hoodie, but there's way more to that. And
yes,
it's attached to our financial industry. It's attached to
absolutely.
utilities in your
Absolutely.
field, in the medical field. So it
Absolutely.
is way more integrated with society than I guess people realize, or we don't advertise enough.
And I think that's the best. I think that's one of my favorite parts of cybersecurity is the diversity in how different teams kind of connect and interact for cybersecurity. And that opens up cybersecurity to so many different people in
Yeah.
different areas, right? Like your podcast is called Inclusive Cyber. It's kind of talking to the same thing, in my opinion, is getting people from all these different areas and walks of lives who work in cybersecurity, and it's kind of saying the same thing. So yeah, I think that aspect of how all of these different teams are affected by cybersecurity and work towards it has been a great kind of revelation for me, for sure.
Definitely. So let's transition to the word of the millennia, the phrase that we keep on hearing constantly, generative artificial intelligence. So what are your initial thoughts on that, and how have you played around with it, and how is it helping you in your work?
So I think, like everything, I have a balanced outlook towards generative AI. There are pros and cons to it. So when I think about it from a cybersecurity perspective, it definitely helps you strengthen your defenses against attacks, does data collection much quicker, looks at does analysis much quicker. So it kind of increases your efficiencies in how you are reviewing your data and how you are able to respond to threats and
Right.
vulnerabilities that are out there, for sure. And there are many companies that are training their models on local data, right? So they're just training their models on local data. They're not sharing their data across platforms or across companies. So it's kind of in its own controlled environment. But at the same time, on the flip side, it makes it so much easier for threat actors who don't have very advanced skill levels kind of gain the ability to do more advanced attacks. We need to be prepared as companies and organizations on how to perceive those potential threats and then plan for mitigating those activities. So I think that's my view. I do think there are efficiencies that are gained with generative AI in cybersecurity, and it's inevitable. We are kind of, as a world, we are moving in that direction. We can't slow down that wagon right now. But what we need to do is also understand, with these efficiencies gained, there's like the bad actors who have access to the same technologies, and what are they going to do
Right.
about it? What are they going to do with it? And then how can you be prepared for those potential issues that arise with those areas? For me personally, I use AI mostly in my program management role, um, for efficiencies in the work that I do.
Mhm.
So for simplifying my tasks, I also use AI quite a bit with my knowledge related activities. So if I have to learn something, or if I have some cybersecurity terms and any topic that I want to deep dive into, I can really dive deep using AI tools. So that's kind of the extent to which I use AI in my role right now. But I think with cybersecurity, there is going to be a lot of AI usage, both from protection security standpoint, but also we need to be prepared and put the guardrails for it from a standards point of view, which I don't think we've set in place as much as of now, but is something that should be set in place.
Yeah, no, it's definitely going to be a race between the attackers and then the defenders, and who's going to get there first, right? I think the way you're using it is kind of the way I use it, kind of more in the writing aspect as well. And which is great, but I think people are looking for more, like that killer app. What is the killer app that AI is going to do? But to kind of juxtapose two different concepts here. So Silicon Valley, is their ethos is move quick,
Yeah.
break things,
Yeah.
and repeat. And now when you look at the medical devices, like you mentioned, so how do you balance that where it's a business proposition? We need to get this outside the door so we can make the money. But then how do we slow it down to introduce that security?
So medical devices is a highly regulated industry because
Mhm.
of in the US because of FDA regulations, and in Europe because of regulations like the EU MDR, for example.
Yeah.
So
Mhm.
even if you wanted to move fast and break things, there's a lot of regulations in place that will prevent you
Mhm.
from moving fast. So I feel like it's a completely different
Interesting.
world compared to your regular Silicon Valley tech company. So in that perspective, I think for medical device and cybersecurity, there's already a lot of regulations in place that prevent you from implementing features that are not thoroughly tested for safety, security, and usability of the device, which is a good place to be in because it kind
Yeah.
of stops you from doing that. But generally, from an industry standards perspective, something to fall back on for all industries, right? Not just medical devices or not just specific industries. I think there should be a base set of regulations that are identified for these tools, and then you can customize them for your specific industry. So for medical devices, it might be certain NIST standards or other standards that you customize that meet the needs of the medical device industry for class devices. So class 1 devices, class 2 devices, class 3 devices, you have specific regulations tied to AI for those classes of devices. I think that's how I conceptualize regulations kind of coming in for AI and in cybersecurity within the medical device industry.
Can you talk a little bit about the classes? I'm not too familiar with
Yeah.
it.
So class 3 devices are like your pacemakers and your defibrillators. They are the implantable devices, right? That are invasive, that have a huge impact on the patient. And then class 2 devices are more like your ophthalmic devices. So it's based on risk classification. Your devices, the classes of your devices are based on the risk classification of the devices. So class 3 is your highest risk, like your implantables, your defibrillators, your pacemakers. Class 2 devices are like your ophthalmic devices, like if you go to an eye doctor's office, the devices that you work with. And then class 1 devices are like your the tools that the dentist's office uses. So very simple tools, very simple devices, right? So those are the 3 different classes of medical devices. And the regulatory requirements for each of these devices are different. So class 3 devices have extremely stringent regulatory requirements. So for those pumps that I mentioned at the start of our podcast, where you could potentially program and change the amount of drug that's delivered to a patient, those devices, like infusion pumps, for example, or diabetes pumps, for example, have a very stringent regulatory requirement compared to something that's that's a class 2 device, right? So your regulatory requirements are different. So the FDA looks at these devices differently and applies a different set of regulations for each of these classes of devices.
No, thank you for that, Smriti. And then I'm assuming they do audits or they get a third party to kind of break the system to see what type of.
Absolutely. Yes. So the audits, both. So usually there are FDA audits as well. But there are a lot of third-party audits that companies just proactively do to make sure that their design history file is all good and set up the right way, and all the risk management activities are up to date, and all of the documents are reviewed and documented in the right place. So there are these stringent reviews that happen in medical device companies to make sure that you are meeting your requirements, and the safety, security, and reliability of your device is always, good to go, and you're compliant.
No, thank you for that explanation. I was completely ignorant about medical devices and the different classes. So thank you for that clarification. And it makes sense, right? We always want to your point, cyber is about protecting people. Same thing with the medical field. So it's a combination of 2 different kind of domains coming together with the same mission, right? Protecting people at the end of the day. So where do you see yourself, I guess, navigating in your career? What would be the next logical step that you'd be looking for?
So I have tied myself very strongly to like a specific 5-year plan for myself. What I really want for myself is to keep learning and keep seeing myself incrementally grow in my career and improve in my career. So I want to be a little flexible with how I move and change in my career, because I've noticed that when I've done that, it has always led me to interesting career paths like this one that I'm in right now, which is cybersecurity. I did not think I would be in cybersecurity, 5, 6 years ago, and here I am now. So I want to keep myself flexible. I am interested in the leadership path. I really enjoy working with people. Being in program management, I get that opportunity to work with people, and with cybersecurity training and development and work experience that I'm building, I'm hoping to move into a leadership role in cybersecurity sometime in the future.
Now, that's great to hear, Smriti. So I know we're coming up here on time for the podcast. So the way I like to end the podcast is books. So as you can see here, in my left corner
Yeah.
here is just a bookcase full of books that I just buy books, and I'm like in the middle of 10 different books here. So, but I got this from another podcast called Consulting Success Podcast, and all the guests, the host would ask them, what book are you currently reading that just resonates with you? So in this case, it doesn't have to be about cyber. Some people, obviously, they're going to read their cyber books and, recommend that, which is nothing wrong with that. Somebody had recommended a fantasy book. It's like, I don't want to say it. I'm like, no, say it. I think the way we're going to help our industry is when we get ideas from other different areas of expertise, whether it's fantasy, whether it's medical, whether it's sports, etc. So with that being said, Smriti, what books would you like to share with the audience that you've read or are currently reading?
Oh, I read a book recently that my friend lent to me. So she read the book and she gave it to me. So you have to read this book. This is really good. And everything was against them. Backgrounds. Most of them did not get along well with each other. But when they came together as a team and just focused on that task that they were doing, they were able to experience flow and they were able to work in unison. It's a true story and it's a very inspiring story. So I have been very inspired by that book because it talks about resilience and how you need to bring that into every aspect of your life. Even if things are kind of going and you feel like you're swimming upstream.
Yeah, no, thank you for sharing that. I'll make sure to put that in the show notes. Smriti, thank you for taking the time to chat with me. This has been an awesome conversation.
Thank you, Danny, for your time as well. This has been great. I really enjoyed chatting with you.